Welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour, and welcome back to another Hancock's VMware Half Hour. Okay, no waffle today. I'm going to get straight to the point. Today, we're going to have a little look at installing XCP-ng, to give it its full title, on our Minisforum MS-A2. And if you've been following these videos, then you will already know that we're obsessed with this little small form factor personal computer, the Minisforum MS-A2. And this is probably the 16th video, I think, in this little series on the Minisforum MS-A2, where we've looked at lots of hypervisors. We've looked at VMware vSphere, we've looked at Hyper-V, we've looked at Promox. So today, it's time to look at XCP-ng. Now, I always said that I was going to get round to doing this video, but I brought it forward a little bit because, again, one of our channel subscribers, ubsefor, basically made a comment on one of my videos. Can you please also test XCP-ng? It has Kernel Panic in the installer. So I've actually basically done quite a little bit of digging really around this, and what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to get straight in. I'm going to turn on our MS-A2. Let's just turn off that. The first thing you're probably going to see is the green screen. Shouldn't really be green, it should be black, but if you've watched this channel by now, you'll know that that's actually to do with the Elgato HD60 Pro card I'm using, which goes on the bonk occasionally and basically just has a green screen, but I quite like it. One of my favorite colors is green, so I'm not going to bother restarting this this rig. We're just going to go with it. So anyway, the first thing that I actually want to draw your attention to, with the MS-A2, I'm using the latest BIOS that's available for it, which is 1.02. I'm not too sure whether or not that makes any difference to XCP, but I'm going to draw your attention to a handful of variables that can cause the installer to do a kernel panic. One of those can be PSS support. So what I'm going to do, mine's currently disabled, so I'm actually going to enable PSS support, which is the default. The other settings that can cause an issue as well, if we look at AMD CBS and CPU options, then there's something called Global C-States, which can also cause problems as well. So we're going to go with stock BIOS. So I'm going to save and exit, and we're going to go for an install, and we'll see whether or not that we can actually basically get a kernel panic in the installer. And then I'll show you basically by going, but we'll go back into the BIOS, we'll change those options. And then later on, I've been following the development of XCP on Git, and there was a PR raised, an issue raised, which has now been fixed with a new kernel. So I'll show you how to install that new kernel as well. It's part of this video. So I'm just bashing the delete key. So I'm going to go to our BBS menu. I'm going to select our UEFI OS. Remember, it's an external USB. I was going to say flash drive, but it's an external USB with an NVMe in it. So you will have seen this before, that I use Ventoy basically to install all the different versions. And just a point there that the Proxmox install that I did the other day, the Proxmox, it's called Proxmox-VE_9.0-1, but confusingly, the operating system is 9.0.3. So just a little bit of trivia. Okay, so there's our XCP-ng-8.03. 2025-0606. So I'm going to boot in normal mode. I'm going to do just install. Of course, this should be a black screen, as I've already said. There we go. So there's our Kernel Panic. So there's our Kernel Panic in the installer, which was, again, a member of our channel, ubsefor, has stated. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to go back into the BIOS. I'm going to disable, I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to go to CPU configuration. So I'm going to just turn off, I'm going to say I'm going to disable PSS support. I'm going to click save and exit. Save changes. Okay. I'm going to reinstall with that disabled. Then we're going to apply the kernel fix. Patch the operating system, reboot, change that back, and boot the system. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Whilst we're waiting for that, I just want to give a plug out to my friends over at Experts Exchange. I'm wearing their lovely Core Conference 2023 shirt, which seems such a long time ago. Like, you know, we're almost coming up to 2 years ago since that event. And if you haven't heard of Experts Exchange, they are the #1 original tech community in the world, forum and answer site. But I actually basically like to think of it more than a forum, a question and answer site, really. I actually like to think of it that, you know, the members and the experts that we've got in Experts Exchange are a real community. So I know some of you keep asking me questions under the videos in the comments, and I will honestly try to get round and answer all of your questions. But the YouTube comment section really doesn't really work very well when you've got very long, complicated questions where you need to basically upload photos and things. So what I'm going to suggest to you, it is free to join Experts Exchange at the moment. I think it's about free for 90 days. So head over to Experts Exchange, sign up for a free trial, and ask your technical questions there on Experts Exchange. So there we go. There's a plug for Experts Exchange, and I've been a member of Experts Exchange now since 2003, and I think you'll find if you Google around the site of it, you'll find me on there. Okay, so going to start up boot in normal mode. We're going to do an install. So hopefully with that setting changed, then we're not going to get a kernel panic in the installer anymore. And the kernel panic is due to features within the system, ACPI system on the Minisforum. And this is both applicable to the MS-A1 and the MS-A2, I believe. Okay, so here we go. Here's our welcome to XCP-ng version 8.3, kernel 419.0+1. And of course, that's probably the kernel version that's actually got this issue. If I can find that on Git, I'll put this in the description as well, so you can have a little look at it. Okay, so we're UK here, so I'm going to click UK, followed by OK. Now, those familiar with Linux distributions will recognize straight away, really, that this is a older distro installation. So, loaded device reference F9, advanced storage F10. So I'm just going to click OK. Checking for existing products, probably going to find one because, okay, I'm going to accept the EULA, or in there, it's the EUA, not the EULA. I'm going to do a clean installation, followed by OK. And we're going to select our Samsung device. And we're going to select our Samsung device again to store virtual machines. I'm going to use EXT, file-based, thin provisioning. I'm not going to use an LVM. I'm going to use local media, i.e. our ISO or a CD-ROM, followed by OK. I'm going to skip verification. It's not physical media, so there's no point in doing that, followed by OK. I'm going to type in password and remember. Followed by OK. Going to use the default Ethernet adapter. This has got 4, and interestingly, it picks up all 4. So these are Ethernet 1 gig. ETH 0 is the Intel. ETH 1 is the Realtek. Unlike ESX, of course, which doesn't have a driver for ETH1, the Realtek, ETH2, ETH3 are, of course, the Intel X710 SFP, the 10 gig ones. So I'm going to use the ETH0 followed by OK. Going to use DHCP here in the lab. It's OK. I'm going to do OK. I'm going to do OK on that as well. We're in Europe. We're in near London, but not quite London. I'm going to provide the NTP servers only because our DHCP doesn't actually issue them. And maybe that's something really that I need to change here in the lab. And of course, you may remember when we were deploying vCenter 9, I think it was, it didn't like our NTP servers for some strange reason. I have no idea why. And we're going to do install. Now, the installation does take a little while. It's been a long time since I've used XCP. Of course, all these really are based on KVM of sorts. And I think XCP-ng is a derivative. If I'm wrong on this, then update me and tell me in the description. But I think XCP was a fork of Xen server, which of course originally I think there was some involvement with Xen server, the hypervisor, and Citrix, and this open source community version came out of that. In preference to Proxmox, I prefer XCP. I just think that it's got a nicer GUI. Maybe Proxmox more aimed at the technical, although I do like the command set on Proxmox. So I'm torn really. I'm 50-50 as to, do I like Proxmox? Do I like XCP-ng? Do I like ESX? Do I like Hyper-V? I think, to be honest with you, really, I think if I was to have them all in a bucket and pull out a raffle ticket, I think really the one that I'm not too keen on out of all of them is Hyper-V, to be honest with you. And that's nothing. It's just not because it's Microsoft. I just find it clunky personally. So ESX, XCP-ng, Proxmox, Nutanix, but as I said, the last handful really are all based on KVM, and performance, they're all going to perform exactly the same. Again, as I said before, it's just the bells and whistles that sit around them, and how you're going to use these, but ultimately, really, it's service that matters. And by service, I mean the performance of the virtual machines and the applications that are actually inside them. Okay, so installation has been completed. Let's click OK. Now, of course, remember that we are still currently with PSS disabled. So, as I said to you, what I'm going to do once this is actually booted, we're going to update XCP. We're going to download that new kernel that's available for it. I don't think that, so I'm just going to start that off. So this is going to boot. Worryingly, you do get a halt here for about 20 seconds. It looks like it's hung. And of course, all these things here are sort of kind of ACPI BIOS error bug already exists. Let me load of gibberish. But it does look a bit worrying that it sits here for 20 seconds or so before basically it gives the sign on. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put this on pause. I'm going to get rid of the keyboard and mouse here because I don't need them anymore. And we'll get an SSH session into our XCP server. There we go. That was a nice quick transition. So let's just do let's just do clear. And okay, the first command I'm going to do is yum update. So this is going to pull all the updates from the repository. And I'm doing this before I download the patch, the kernel patch, just in case there are any dependencies on the kernel that I'm going to use. So I'm just looking here at the file that I need. Okay, so, and don't bother copying this down because I'll put this in the description. So I'm just using wget. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to change directory. I don't know what directory or folder I'm in at the moment. Let's have a little look. Okay, I am in root. So I'm just going to pull this down to root. Okay, so there's our new kernel, kernel-419.19. So I'm going to apply that new kernel, and I'm just going to have a look to see whether or not that we've actually basically got it. Yeah, we've got that new kernel that we've downloaded. So I'm now going to install the new kernel. And I'm just going to go to my cheat sheet. I'm going to copy and paste. Okay, so I'm going to do a yum update followed by that kernel. Total size, it's finished doing all the dependency checks. And I'm going to click yes. And it's going to update that kernel. It's cleaning up. We've got no error messages. It's taking a while. So what we'll do, we will shut down one. There we go. So I'm going to do a sudo init 6. So that's basically just going to do a restart. I'm going to do a restart of the server. Then what we're going to do is drop out and probably tell you what we'll do. Just missed that. What we'll do now is I'm going to set that PSS support back to its default value, and we'll boot the server again just to actually basically confirm and show you that. Okay, just need to get the mouse. Okay, so I'm going to go back to setup again. I'm going to go back to advanced. I'm going to go back to the CPU configuration, and we're going to turn back on PSS support, and I'm going to do a save and exit, save changes and exit, followed by OK. Now, of course, we're running a new kernel now. So hopefully, I'm just going to put that over there because I don't think I need that anymore. Hopefully with this new kernel, then we're not going to get any error message anymore with a kernel panic. Now, as I said, this has been highlighted. I think it was only in June, I think, that it was reported, and very quickly it was fixed and it was pushed out. But I don't think at the moment that it's actually basically made its way into an ISO at the moment. So, okay, there we go. There we go. We've got the 20 seconds or so wait here, but we're not getting a kernel panic or anything at the moment. And whilst that's happening there, then I'm just going to set up. I'm just going to set up the next screen because we're going to log in. We're going to use the web browser again. There we go. So we're all done there. So let's just turn off that screen and let's just go and log in. Give it a bit of a HTTPS. Okay, so standard. I tell you what, can you not see that? Let's just try. Okay, so let's just accept the certificate. Log in with the root username and password. There we go. That's what our XCP interface looks like. Well, in traditional style at Hancock's VMware half hour, like if I didn't actually basically deploy a virtual machine, then it wouldn't really prove anything. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy something called XOA, which is I can only describe as a bit like the equivalent of VMware vCenter server. It's a management server or management appliance that manages hosts. So I'm just going to deploy this. So I'm going to select local storage. I'm going to select the network, which is the hosting. I'm going to select pool-wide network associated with ETH0, DHCP, admin login. So I'm going to specify my email address, followed by a password. Talk amongst yourselves whilst I do this, or hum a tune. There we go. I'm going to specify a password here. And I'm going to click deploy. Okay, so it's quite clearly, it says there, if we just center the screen, XOA deployment, importing XOA, please do not refresh. And basically we just need to wait. Now, this does take a bit, well, this takes longer than what I would have expected. Now, I don't know if that's because it's downloading this from the internet or whether or not that it's massive. I don't know. If you know, then drop me a comment. Anyway, I'm not going to wait for this and I'm not going to speed this up in post. So I'm just going to basically pause and I'll come back when it's done. And then we'll log into the XOA and then we'll deploy a virtual machine for the first time. And that's just typical. I just actually basically patched through some music into the mixing desk here so I could actually basically listen. As I said, yeah, you know, that's been in doing something for 5 minutes and more. I don't really know, as I said, whether or not it's a download, why it takes so long. You know, at some point, you know, you actually basically think that it's actually basically crashed or hung. Anyway, so I'm going to click Access XOA. Okay, so we've got a 136.89, so it's acquired a different IP address. So that shows that networks are working correctly. So I'm going to specify the username and password that I've used. Now you can register this. It will come up certainly with a nag in a minute moaning about registration. You are not registered. Your XOA may not be up to update. Create an account, click here to register. Okay, so this is a little bit similar really to VMware vCenter server, as I mentioned before. It's a management server, doesn't actually host any virtual machines. So we've got a prompt already, which is quite nice, to add a server. So I'm going to click add server. It's going to ask us for our host. So I'm going to just say it's I'm going to call it XCP1. Tell you what, we'll call it MS-A2 because it's MS-A2. Our IP address is no FQDN setup, but I would recommend setting up FQDNs. So 141.255.136.30, root username and password. And I'm going to click connect. It says root password enabled. Okay, little exclamation mark because he doesn't like the certificate because it's just self-sign. So if we click that and click OK, then that's added everything basically to our dashboard. And if we have a little look at hosts, then we can see that we've got one host that's master. It's giving us a little warning sign. No XCP Pro support enabled on this host. Yeah, that's fine. We've got dashboard. As I said, the GUI is a little bit nicer than what we're seeing with Proxmox BE, but it's not all about bells and whistles. It's not all about GUIs. It's about how they work. We've got self-service portal here as well. So the first thing I'm going to do now, the reason I've actually using XOA to manage the host, because there are some host features that aren't present, and it's recommended really that you add your host and manage your host via XOA. And one of those is storage, adding storage. So I'm going to click new followed by storage. Now the reason why I'm adding some storage is because I want to add an NFS export that's actually got our ISOs on so we can create a virtual machine. So select host. We've only got one host and it's that one. I'm going to basically just call it NFS ISOs. I'm going to call it NFS ISOs in the description. Our local storage repository, SR, is NFS ISO. Tell it that basically it's going to serve ISOs. So our server, Cyrus NAS 4, it's 4.1, I believe, the NFS version that we're running. We haven't got any command delimited NFS options I'm going to use. I'm going to click the little magnifying glass, and that's actually going to come up with path. And then, quite nicely, I like this. This is a nice feature. Similar feature that we saw actually in Proxmox. That would actually basically show us the exports on the host as well. So that's a nice feature. It's something that we don't have in VMware, vSphere or ESXi. We've actually basically got to specify the path. And some paths I remember, some paths I don't. So I've already created an XCP ISOs export. And I'm going to click. Now, interestingly, I have read that if you create an export, if you create a SR, it can potentially wipe out the files that are there unless you attach it. And I think, okay, let's just say create. And okay, let's just have a little look, and it should do a refresh at some point. Maybe I'll just do a rescan. Okay, 20.94 terabytes, 10.94 terabytes used. And hopefully, if I go to disk, then I can actually basically see our Windows Server 2025 ISO. So let's get into it. Let's create. Okay, so you can see our Xen Orchestration or Orchestra virtual appliance, XOA, is there and it's already running. So I'm going to create a new VM. I'm going to select our host. I'm going to select the template. Again, nice touch. Windows Server 2025. I'm going to call it Win2K2. 2 vCPUs, 4 RAM. So it's very, very similar to VMware vCenter server. I'm going to say 1 socket with 2 cores per socket. Our ISO, that's nice. Just automatically populates our NFS ISOs. Mac auto-generated. Our network, that's fine. Local storage, 64 gig. I think we're ready to go. And click create. Okay, so I can go to the console. It's already started up. and we've selected the ISO and it's booting, and we can get ready and do an installation. A little bit quicker than Proxmox. As I said, the interface is nice. It works well. It's friendly, user friendly, or a little bit more user friendly than Proxmox VE. I don't know why, really, to be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe you can let me know why. Drop me the answer in the description. I know there's a huge number of people, behind Proxmox. I know Linux users have been going on about Proxmox for years. Anyway, so select language settings: English United States, English United Kingdom, time and currency format, followed by next. Keyboard, United Kingdom. Install Windows Server. I agree to everything. Yeah, followed by next. Getting things ready. We're going to do Windows Server Datacenter 2025 Datacenter desktop experience, followed by next. Going to accept the EULA. And searching for disks. And of course, this is a little bit different. Of course, we've got Windows Server knows about the storage controller that's actually used here. So if you looked at the Proxmox video that we did, you know that we had to basically get the VMware tools and mount that as a CD-ROM. Very, very similar to Nutanix. So we can just click next. And I'm going to click install. And then I'll come back to what I was saying about why don't people like XCP? And there's this huge community behind Proxmox. Proxmox, when XCP is very similar, I can see. If you know the reason why there's a huge love for Proxmox but not XCP, then drop me a note in the description and let me know. I'd love to know why. Because, years ago, I remember dealing with a Linux user group. And, they weren't interested in VMware vSphere or VMware ESXi. It was all Proxmox. Maybe Proxmox is older than XCP. I don't know, but Citrix Xen server's been around a long time. So, don't know. That's a question for you. If you know the reason why Proxmox has so much love and XCP doesn't, then drop a note in the description. Anyway, with that, we're about 32 minutes. So a couple of minutes over Hancock's VMware half hour. So I'm going to put this on pause. We'll come back, we'll log in, and then we'll summarize and we'll call it a day. Hey, so there we are. We've booted. I will log in. Helps if I actually basically specify the password, doesn't it, and repeat it. And we're done. Like, I know that we're actually basically coming up to about 35 minutes, so I will keep this short. Of course, there's still things that you need to do. You still need to install the guest editions, the equivalent of VMware tools in the operating system for a fully fledged VM and best user experience and all that. If I just actually basically zoom out now, then you can see the full effect. We've got some lovely performance counters there for CPU, memory, disk, and networking. But as I said before, it's not all about the bells and whistles. So there we are, logged in quite nicely on our Windows Server 2025. And let's just kick off and basically get it to do some Windows updates. Check for updates. And there we go. I'll finalize. So there you go. In this video, you've actually basically seen me install XCP 8 on a Minisforum MS-A2 with BIOS defaults, which gave us a Kernel Panic during the installer, which we fixed temporarily by disabling PSS, which was thanks to our channel member, if I can find it on my phone, ubsefor. Can you please also test XCP-ng it has Kernel Panic in the installer. You have to turn off AMD PSS in BIOS. So there we go. We've turned off PSS in the BIOS. We've installed it successfully. We've patched it using the kernel, a replacement kernel. We've shut down, restarted, changed the BIOS back to enabling PSS, restarted the server, restarted XCP. We've deployed the Xen Orchestra virtual appliance, XOA. We've then added some NFS storage on the Synology NAS. We've connected the Windows Server 2025 ISO to a virtual machine, started the Windows Server 2025 VM, and here it is. There we go, done. So that's another one crossed off. One more remaining, and that's Nutanix. We'll install Nutanix on the MS-A2 and see how it performs. If you've got any questions at all, then please drop them in the description and I will definitely guarantee to answer. If your question is a little bit longer and needs a little bit more troubleshooting, then please consider going to Experts Exchange, signing up for a trial membership and logging your questions there. And it can be on anything technical. Doesn't have to be specifically virtualization, doesn't have to be specifically VMware or Proxmox or XCP or Nutanix or Hyper-V, anything you like, IT related. And one of our experts, maybe me, will respond to your question. Anyway, Experts Exchange plug out of the way. So that's for me to say. Thank you very much for watching another video by me, Andrew Hancock, at Hancock's VMware Half Hour. If you've liked this video, then please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe and share. So once again, thank you very much. And goodbye. Goodbye now.